lot of tough circumstances, cold weather, midweek game, and they came out on top tonight.
And when you look at the face-off effects, people speculated maybe with the shot clock the face-off won't be so important. Well, tonight, once again, Alex Woodall proving that wrong. 20 of 26 at the X, and Towson able to use that in the second half to really dominate possession.
You're absolutely right. Woodall was such a force tonight and really did not have any drop-off from the first face-off to the last. He is a beast at the X there and allows this Towson team to grab momentum and to keep momentum at any part of the game. And I think as a contender, that's such a valuable weapon to have. It allows your offense to get in the flow and ultimately come away, settle in, and come away with more wins.
In 62 meetings between the Tigers and Greyhounds, twice Loyola entered as the #1 team in the country, and twice Towson was able to knock them off. Just kind of what rivalries are all about. So once again, your final score from Johnny Unitas Stadium: Towson 12, Loyola 10. Thank you for watching the CAA Game of the Week on Lac Sports Network. For Davey Emla, our producer Dylan Hand, and our entire crew, I'm Travis Eldridge. Our next CAA Game of the Week comes your way Saturday, a doubleheader with Fairfield hosting Rutgers and Hofstra welcoming Georgetown. We'll see you then, but right now we send you back into the LSN Broadcast Center.
Tyler Pace with the Calgary Roughnecks. This is Box Lacrosse 101. Today we'll be talking about shuffle passing. As we're doing this drill, we want to make sure that our stick stays above our shoulder and we're passing, we're following through, right? We're not making any cradle motions when we catch it. We're controlling the ball before we release it. And we're not trying to race up the floor as we shuffle. It's more about control than it is about speed.
You don't give a girl confidence. She already came with a lifetime supply. The question is, what do you do with all that confidence? Do you ignore it? Or do you give her the tools to harness it? Tools that will help her trust her instincts, make her aim true.
Tonight on Lacrosse Now, the #1 BC Eagles and defending champs JMU Dukes in action tonight. Someone set a record. A new #1 team in our NLL power rankings and what Callum Crawford's suspension means.
I got you suspended.
And a big weekend of college lacrosse is in store. Who we got? Who you got?
Wait, what did you just say?
Next on Lacrosse Now.
So let's do this thing!
And with that, we welcome you into a Friday night edition of Lacrosse Now. He's Tom. I'm Travis. Another weekend of lacrosse is upon us.
We're not gonna talk about what we just saw.
I'm not a rat.
What we're gonna talk about what we just saw?
Come on, man.
Remy, my pal Remy. I don't know what the other guy's name is.
I'm taller than you.
I'm not that small. Okay.
Anyway,
let's
out the
carry
door.
on. Yeah, let's get this show on the road, as they say. It's already been an exciting week. The #1 team in the nation, Loyola, going down to Towson on Wednesday night. A game you saw right here on LSN.
Yeah, it was an incredible game. We very likely, are going to have a new #1 team already on Monday, and we still have an entire weekend to get to.
We've been debating it all day. Who's #1? I think tomorrow we'll find out a little more.
We will find out a lot more tomorrow. As for today, the top-ranked team on the women's side, Boston College, in action against a ranked USC team.
Okay.
The Trojans coming east from California. Fourth time that these two programs have met. The Eagles undefeated so far, 3-0 all-time against USC. And BC starting strong. Guess who? Sam Apuzzo. She became BC's all-time points leader in this game. Passes Covey Stanwyck. BC up 2-0 early. It's now 5-1. Sheila Rattano to Dempsey Arsenal. I mean, they have so many weapons on this team. It's ridiculous. How about another look?
I'll take another look.
Whoop!
Wow.
Spinning and winning. 6-1 Eagles cruising. But wait, USC causing the turnover around midfield. Here we go in transition. They've got numbers and they've got a goal. USC, it's Izzy McMahon all alone, 8-3. And they've made things interesting throughout. Kelsey Huff, second half now. The shimmy shake and the celly. Eagles back only to a 3-goal lead. Here come the Trojans. Oh, but there's that girl again, Apuzzo, 5-hole. She had 7 points in this thing, up to 316 on her career. But USC not done. Kaylee Huff spiked that stick. All of a sudden, it's a 2-goal game. Still 15 minutes to play.
2 goals?
Like, out of nowhere, the Trojans making this thing interesting. But Boston College is number 1 for a reason. Taylor Walker on the free position, buckets, built that lead back up to 4. It ends in a 3-goal Eagles win, 12-9, your final. Apuzzo and Kent each with 7 points. Kent, 1 goal to go along with 6 helpers. So Kenzie Kent sharing is caring. Exact same stat line she had in the game against Dartmouth. McMahon and Concialdi for USC each had 3 points in that losing effort. Trojans getting 7 more ground balls than the Eagles. BC at Navy on Wednesday. USC continues this Boston tour. They'll take on Boston University coming up on Sunday.
Boston is lovely this time of year, I've heard. Let's go.
If the snow doesn't affect that game.
All right, speaking of weather,
USC.
Here we go. JMU hosting Canisius.
Lovely.
I don't know. Yeah, looks a little bit dank. I think that's probably a good word to describe it.
Dreary.
Dreary.
Damp.
Damp is another good word.
Awful.
Not JMU. JMU was none of those words today. They were good, and Canisius did get on the board early. That's Jordan Romer, who had 3 points. Canisius up 1-0, but then the tide turns towards the Dukes, as they say. Lizzie Fox coming in out of nowhere there. 4 points, sort of just weaving her way in and out through the defense. JMU's up a bundle. They're up plenty here in the second half. Shannon Quinlan picking up the loose ball. You see right there in front and scores. She had a hat trick. JMU wins 21-0.
A lot to a little.
Number 16, Duke, all over William and Mary, winning 19-3. Charlotte North with 11 points, 7 goals and 2 assists. Olivia Jenner, a hat trick and an assist. Duke has Elon on Sunday. William and Mary host Richmond on Wednesday.
All right, let's look ahead to tomorrow. Rutgers preparing to take on Fairfield here on LSN. The Scarlet Knights going to be without attackman Kieran Mullins, or may be without attacking Kieran Mullins. He's listed as questionable. He didn't play last weekend against Loyola. Did not practice Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday this week. It looks like a game-time decision for Kieran Mullins tomorrow. That game, a 1 p.m. Eastern time start in Fairfield.
Yeah, more on that one a little bit later in the program.
Yeah.
Let's go to the professional ranks. Dylan Ward will be a Denver Outlaw for another year. He was huge in that championship win over Dallas, recording 16 saves, allowing just 3 goals in the second half in the win. Ward went 5-1 with Denver, including the postseason, and led Team Canada to a silver medal in the FIL World Championships. He's good. He was also the NLL Goalie of the Year for the Colorado Mammoth back in 2017, so he does it all.
Win, 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 Dylan Ward.
Win, win, win. Staying in the pro game, but over to the NLL now, where the New England Black Wolves registered one of the biggest wins of the season over Toronto last weekend.
But the win may have come at a cost.
So win, win, lose.
Yeah. This hit right here on Brad Cree by the league's leader in points, Callum Crawford, ruled as a match penalty and a 1-game suspension by the league on Friday.
This is the hit right here, yeah.
This is the hit coming up here. There was another hit that had happened before, but because this is the second time he's received a match penalty for a hit like this one, this is the other hit, and it's happened within the last 2 years, he's been given an additional 5-game suspension. That means he'll have to sit out 6 games, 1 game for this hit, and then another 5-game suspension because it's his second one of these match penalties for hits like this over the course of the last calendar year.
This last hit happening back in the end of towards the end of last season.
Right. So the PLPA has appealed this suspension, which means Crawford likely going to play this weekend as the Black Wolves host the Mammoths. So that's good news for New England, at least for now, but there could be a lengthy suspension coming if Crawford and the PLPA do not win that appeal.
Having an MVP type season. So
yeah. Leading the league in points.
Poor timing, to say the least. Moving on, the PLL announcing today that Chicago will be their 3rd stop of their tour this summer. There is Chicago.
Lovely that time of year.
Yeah, not current Chicago. This looks like the summertime of Chicago, which is when they'll play. We now know that they'll launch at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough on June 1st and 2nd. Then in the second weekend in June, head to Red Bull Arena in New Jersey. And now 3 games at SeatGeek Stadium in Chicago on June 15th and 16th. The MLS Chicago Fire currently plays in that venue.
With that said, more announcements for the PLL on the way. The PLL tweeting saying that they will unveil the rosters
Monday.
Next week. Monday.
Wow.
We will finally know which players are on Team Chrome, which players are on Team Atlas,
Team
Redwoods Lacrosse Club, the Whip Snakes Lacrosse Club, led up by Jim Stagnator. We will know which players are where Monday.
We will know on Monday. We know the coaches. We know.
This is exciting.
We're learning more and more.
It's going to be very interesting to see how they navigate
separate everybody.
These teams together. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. Duke taking on Richmond tonight in Virginia. Did the Blue Devils have trouble with another SoCon team? Find out. Plus, we'll look at this weekend's games too.
Yeah, including Albany.
Albany.
We also get you ready for this weekend's action in the NLL. NLL Power Rankings are back, folks. A new team at the top. We got a new number 1. It's like the college game.
Wow.
Lacrosse Now is brought to you in part by New Balance Lacrosse. Built for lacrosse. Just in time for a new week in the NLL. We have just enough time to get in our NLL Power Rankings for this week.
Yeah, we're doing a good job previewing them as we go along and getting these in.
Well, when we look back to last weekend, we've got some changes at the top.
Yeah,
we're going to get to them.
There weren't many games, but there's actually quite a bit of movement this week.
I mean, that's what happens in NLL Power Rankings because the NLL has been a little crazy. Why don't we start at the bottom?
Now we're here.
Yeah, and we'll work our way up. Why don't we just start with a couple of these teams?
Let's go with these
Warriors, Nighthawks,
yeah, I like
Wings.
That. All right.
You got anything to contribute on any of these?
Wow.
I don't know.
Just started asking what's up. Okay.
Why don't we get to Philadelphia because we were discussing it. I was like, I don't know if they've done enough here to be chilling in at number 9, but they got Bryce Harper.
Right. I think that was part of our conversation and saying Bryce Harper has lifted the morale of the entire city of Philadelphia.
Everybody wants to be in Philadelphia now.
Everybody wants to be in Philadelphia. So we've seen that continue with Kevin Crowley, who was part of that movement. He's been part of the movement to Philly.
Yes. So, now in the Mount Rushmore, I guess, of Philadelphia superstars, you have Kevin Crowley, Bryce Harper, Joel Embiid, Carson Wentz, and Gritty.
Gritty being definitely on that Mount Rushmore, and maybe more well known
than anybody on the Flyers.
So
him and Claude Giroux.
Now that Wayne Simmons is gone.
So there you go.
Philly,
hanging out.
I mean, the Nighthawks did lose this week.
Yeah, so you dropped them down a spot.
Warriors, we'll talk about them in a second, taking on San Diego this week. That's something I actually want to talk about, but we'll get to that in a moment.
All right, let's continue to move on up, and we've got the Mammoth here at number 8. They stay put, but you know what? They lose to Saskatchewan this week, 9-7 in Saskatoon. It's not an awful result, and I was excited to see what we saw from Dylan Ward. This was essentially in a one-goal game. The Rush added an empty netter on late. Dylan Ward was really good, 40 saves. I know offensively they're going to need Ryan Benesh, somebody to step up.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw from Colorado going up into Rush country.
I think this will be a big week for Colorado. And going to New England, playing a team in New England that's hot, I guess.
But no Callum Crawford.
Callum Crawford appealing, Travis, as we talked about earlier in the show. Don't forget about that.
Right. Appealing that suspension.
Callum Crawford probably going to play this week, the PLPA appealing that. So Colorado going into New England, maybe Callum Crawford's got a chip on his shoulder, but I think Colorado's been playing better lacrosse than they played at the beginning of the year. And you saw that against Saskatchewan. And I feel like they have a chance in this game. These two teams haven't played each other this year, so there's always that an anonymity between those two teams. So I think we'll see.
They've got a win over Georgia. I mean,
exactly. Just 2 weeks ago. That wasn't that long ago.
They've shown that they can beat some of the best teams. So you're right. It's going to be an interesting game. You wanted to talk about this Seals and Vancouver game. What do you? Hindsight's
20/20 sometimes in power rankings, even when teams don't play. Because neither of these teams played last week.
Nope.
And they flipped somehow. It was towards the end of the segment, and I go, you know what? I think that Calgary needs to be above San Diego in this situation. And now it's coming to fruition. Just because we've learned more about ourselves, I think, in the past week than anything else.
Have we?
We learned more about ourselves than them. And now that I'm a different, you're always a different person than you were the second before. So in 10 seconds, you're going to be a different person than you were 10 seconds ago.
That was some.
So now these teams are different than they were last week.
Meta stuff. I think San Diego is going to climb on up because I know we talked about they play Vancouver this week. I think they're.
You know
moving
what happened
up.
the last time they played Vancouver?
I know, but I think they're moving up.
It was a 14-6 Vancouver win.
In hot takes this week, I said that San Diego was going to be in first place in the West Division by the end of this weekend.
Really? Interesting. That's not a hard thing to do these days, but we'll see what happens.
So I think they're going to be tied with Calgary because I think
Calgary's got a big game against Saskatchewan this weekend, and we all know what happened the last time those two teams played. All right, let's go 4 or 5. I think that's a good place to go after that. See the Black Wolves. You can see they're in the top 3 at this point for New England.
We'll get to them in a second. With the Rush, same thing with the win over Colorado. Once again, essentially a one-goal game. You win 8-7. Or they win 9-7 and almost essentially an 8-7 game. I want more from this offense because it just doesn't make sense to me. You know, like you look at the pieces. You got Mark Matthews goes out for 5 points. Ben McIntosh is still in the prime of his career.
Jeff Shattler, MVP of the finals last year.
They've got the guys. I'm just waiting for them to just completely turn it on.
It seemed like the first couple months of the season, they kind of figured things out for the first couple weeks, then got hot. And now, since I've cooled off a little bit, and I talked about their defense about a month or so ago, how it was so good, they're down to 8th in the league in defense, and the goals allowed a game right now. So, to me, that's not a team trending in the right direction. When you got a game with Calgary coming up this weekend,
big game.
That's something to watch.
I like the Roughnecks in that.
You like the Roughnecks?
I like the Roughnecks.
Interesting. West, wide open. Wild, Wild West.
Legitimately wide open.
Wild
You got
West.
the top 3 teams all within a half a game of each other right now. So
crazy. Number 3, got New England.
Black Wolves on the way up. They beat Toronto this week, which caught me off guard a little bit because I think Toronto was playing as good as anybody. But it's the Davey Emila factor.
The Davey Emila factor.
Dude's here. He's scoring goals for the Black Wolves, and he's actually had a nice little impact on this offense. And it seems like they have found a way to turn the corner. The question will be if the Callum Crawford thing doesn't get overturned. I mean, if he's looking at a 5 or 6 game suspension, this dramatically changes their season and their outlook going forward. I move them down in the power rankings on that alone if it gets upheld.
It's a shame, too, because New England, especially when you lose Kevin Crowley, you expect a regression. And to have someone like Callum Crawford go in there and,
He's
play,
an MVP candidate.
and be an MVP candidate shows you what they've built there. I think that says a lot about their franchise and the guys they've brought in, and Digby and everything like that, Davey Emila. But it's, at the same time, I think it's unfortunate this might be as high as we see them for the rest of the season, depending on what happens to Callum Crawford.
It changes everything, because if he misses that much time, that's essentially a third of the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
not good.
With him or not, I think the game against Colorado is going to be interesting this weekend.
And it's an important game, especially if he does play and he ends up being suspended, and getting at least one more win with him in the lineup would be good. Let's get to the top two, because we have a new number one.
New number one.
Because, look, the Bandits have now won 5 straight. Dominant win over Rochester, which, look, the Nighthawks are down here for a reason.
They had lost to Rochester, but that's their last loss.
Yeah,
so
and I mean,
shows you where they are right now.
The way in which they did it. Buffalo, when they're winning and on this winning streak, they are pounding teams.
Yeah, they've been dominant. And that's not really something we saw from Toronto as the top team in our power rankings. They were never been really that
dominant. A lot of one-goal games.
A lot of one-goal games. The Bandits' goal differential this year, you ready? Plus 43.
Woo-hoo.
Plus 43. The next best is Toronto, who's plus 14. So that tells you how dominant Buffalo's been. And we had a feeling for a while that Buffalo was the best team in the league.
But
it just you couldn't
the Rock
really
kept winning.
The Rock didn't really give us a reason to put them out of first. So them losing to the Black Wolves, to me, only dropped them one. We had a little bit of a conversation of how far they should drop. But New England at home, Toronto competing in that game, I just think that there was a recipe for just not. It's a loss. It's a tough game.
My concern for Toronto out of that game, they get outscored 6-1 in the fourth quarter. That's very un-Rock-like, because most of the time this year, it's been them coming from behind when they need to, getting it done in the clutch and coming up with wins. That didn't happen last weekend. Let's see if that is just an outlier or if it becomes a trend.
Both these teams at the top off this week, so they'll stay there.
There you go.
That's
so,
a prediction.
Spoiler alert for next week.
There's no way.
There's no way.
No one's going to move above them. So we'll see what happens.
There you go. Spoiler alert. Bandits and Rock 1-2 next week.
You can see all of our NLL coverage right now on demand here on Lac Sports Network. Highlights, hot takes, power rankings.
Ooh, that's a fancy new graphic.
And more. And graphics. All free on LSN. And look at all the ways you can see LSN.
I feel like we're adding some.
Every day.
Every day.
Just like we're adding MLL games every day.
Yeah, this is true. Coming up here on Lacrosse now, Georgetown and Hofstra here on LSN
there
tomorrow.
You go.
Speaking of games we're adding, Hoya senior Daniel Bucaro coming back from tearing his ACL less than 12 months ago. He'll talk to us about getting ready for the trip to Long Island.
And a look ahead to tomorrow's action around the country, the best matchups and the storylines to go with those matchups, including UAlbany, next. Welcome back to Lacrosse now.
I feel like we need some cold beverages here. It's a Friday night, high top table.
Give me some calamari.
Let's go.
Buffalo chicken wings, the whole 9 yards.
Some dip. Buffalo chicken dip.
Yep, dip. I'll go for the dip.
Anyway.
Yeah, there you go. Tonight's Duke-Richmond game got much bigger last weekend after Richmond knocked off Notre Dame.
Yeah, the Spiders, the latest SoCon team to beat somebody from the ACC, setting up a number 6 Duke against 14th ranked Richmond tonight. Remember, Tom, Blue Devils already lost to a SoCon team this year. That would be High Point. They're trying not to lose 2. Because Virginia already lost to
High Point as well.
SoCon team.
Yeah.
Let's roll the highlight. Here we go.
There it is.
Richmond on a really damp, rainy, kind of disgusting night down in Virginia.
It's a theme.
Well, they started fast. The Spiders don't mind the water. Nick DeMauro going coast to coast on the face-off win. 7 seconds in, it's 1-0 Richmond. We're less than 3 minutes into this thing. It's now 2-0. Michael Reale 3 minutes in, it's 3-0 Spiders. Uh-oh. Duke changes goalies, and, well, it changed their fate. First, it's Brad Smith. Then, now a 3-2 game. Cameron Bedore, he finds the back of the net. And just like that, we're knotted up at 3 apiece. We got a ball game. And there's Nakai Montgomery, one of the breakout stars of that Final Four last year. Tickles the twine. Blue Devils now up by 1. Their first lead of the game. And there's more. Joe Robertson to Joey Manown. Duke now up 2. But the Spiders not going away. Teddy Hatfield, he had a hat trick on the night. 8-7. Duke's lead down to 1. But that is as close as Richmond would get. Robertson from X, he had 3 goals and an assist. 11-7 is your final. Smith had a hat trick as well to go along with Robertson's 4 points. And how about the goalie change? Turner Upgren started this thing, gives up those 3 goals in 3 minutes for Duke. He gets pulled. David McCann comes in, and McCann had 8 saves on the night, gave up just 4 goals. So a goalie change will be something we watch moving forward for the 6th-ranked Blue Devils.
Change the momentum in that one a little bit after that happened. So
hey, you know, sometimes it's just changing momentum, figuring things out. Sometimes it's a permanent change. We'll see which it is for Duke here moving forward.
Elsewhere tonight. Let's head elsewhere. We go to Towson, where we saw a big upset earlier in the week when the men did it to Loyola. Now we have Towson against Stony Brook. Here we go in the first. Allie Kennedy off the free position. She had 4 goals and an assist. Stony Brook up early in this one, 1-0. Still up 1 later in the first. There's a goal there by Carly Telekamp, scoring top shelf right in front. Seawolves, though, were up 6-3 at the half, and we go to that second half. Siobhan Rafferty in front, going low and scoring. Stony Brook goes on to win this one 14-8. Towson battled, but Stony Brook bouncing back after that loss to Denver last week.
You know, they just need to go throwback uniforms, the Lady Tigers.
Oh, those always work.
That's what it's all about.
I think Towson might wear those the rest of the year.
I would be a firm supporter of
on LSN. Whenever they're on LSN.
All that are home games. They're all here.
Right. Now to the rest of the weekend. A couple of blockbuster games on both the men's and the women's side of things. Let's start with the ladies, though.
Ladies first. We're gentlemen here on LSN. And we start with the game where both teams look at a bounce back from losses earlier this week.
What teams are those?
Penn State and Loyola.
Okay.
The Nittany Lions heading to play the Greyhounds in Baltimore after getting blown out against Princeton on Wednesday. Penn State losing 21-10. Not a score you expected to see in that matchup. On the other side, Loyola coming off a midweek loss, falling to Syracuse in the Carrier Dome. Both teams could use a ranked win here to bounce back. Only one, though, going to walk away with a 1-1 week.
Big game in March for those teams. It is March. Up on Long Island, the mighty Terps look to keep rolling as they visit Hofstra. Second-ranked Maryland comes in at 4-0, led by Jen Giles and her 18 points this season. Don't sleep on the Pride, though. They enter this game at 4-1 and have one of the top goal scorers, not only in her conference, but in the nation, Alyssa Perella, 4th in the country, scoring nearly 5 goals per game. They got some talent back, Hofstra, so might put up a fight in Hempstead.
She is must-see TV, I will say that. In North Carolina, the Tar Heels finally get to reopen now what's called the UNC Lacrosse and Soccer Stadium. It was built where the old Fetzer Field was. First game there against number 5 Northwestern in a top 5 matchup. So kicking things off in style. Wow. Tar Heels have won 7 of the last 8 meetings between these two national powerhouses, including 5 in a row. Something you may not know between two teams traditionally in the top 5 and top 10.
What a stretch for North Carolina. Just played Maryland.
Doesn't get any easier.
Speaking of teams in the ACC, we've got a marquee conference game between two of the hotter teams that start the season. Syracuse looks very good. They host Virginia in the Carrier Dome. Top 6 matchup there. The Orange coming off that fast start and win against Loyola midweek. Meanwhile, Cavs undefeated are giving up less than 8 goals a game.
Something's going to have to give because Syracuse scores a lot more than 8. Here are some of the other games to keep your eye on. 18th ranked Georgetown visits Delaware. You can see that game here on LSN, like every Delaware men's and women's home game. 8th ranked UPenn opens up Ivy League play by hosting Yale. Hopkins, ranked 14th in the country, looks to take care of Furman. And Notre Dame, home to the top scoring offense in the country. They got to take the event on the road. They head to Louisville for an ACC matchup.
To the men's side we go. 8th ranked Denver takes on 20th ranked North Carolina. This is a 10 a.m. Eastern start time in Chapel Hill. You know
Breakfast
what time that is?
with the Pios and heels.
8 a.m. Mountain Time in Denver. This is the second time Denver's had to come for an early start. 11 a.m. at Duke a couple weeks ago when they lost that game.
More coffee necessary.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just pointing it out there.
This is, I don't know, man.
I'm just pointing it out there.
Shaky.
The Pioneers beating Utah and Cleveland State last weekend. As we mentioned, the Tar Heels using their new facility for the first time. As you can see, coming off a loss to Johns Hopkins on what was a very muddy Kenan Stadium.
You think the football program said, hey, guys, can we make sure we get that field open, like, now? They didn't want that lacrosse team on.
They originally were going to re-sod it, and then they think they decided to go to the new facility.
Yeah, that was probably the right choice. How about 13th ranked Virginia visiting 12th ranked Syracuse? The first ACC game of the year for both teams, and this one is always a classic. Gotta watch out for the goalies in this game, not just the offenses, the goalies. Virginia freshman Patrick Birkinshaw, the difference as the Cavs won 12-11 at Princeton last weekend. He had 24 saves. That was a Cavs freshman record. On the other end, Syracuse goalie Drake Porter allowing just 8 goals per game for the Orange. That Syracuse defense has been spectacular so far this season. If you take away that loss to Colgate early on, the Orange won this matchup last season en route to another perfect ACC record. Face-off set noon Eastern time in the Dome. These two programs they always play 1-goal games. So I'm going to say 1-goal game now.
Good prediction. Really bold.
Really bold.
Penn State playing in Panzer Stadium for the first time this season. It's March, so people are starting to go outside, which is nice, even though I don't know if everyone should.
Snow.
It's going to snow tomorrow. So they're hosting Penn, a game the Nittany Lions won 12-4 last season in Philly. Grant Ament scored 9 points last week as Penn State fell to Yale, while Penn lost to number 3 Maryland in overtime in week 1. And last weekend they fell 17-7 to Duke. So we'll see what kind of Penn team we get. Face off at 1 p.m. on BTN to go.
I'm going to be honest, when Grant Ament scores 9 points and he's the talk of a game that Penn State loses, that's when you know you're doing something right.
He's doing something very right.
Grant Ament is doing something right. DeHogan Etico and U Albany back at it. They face Jeff Teat and Cornell. I mean, just that sells this matchup alone. Two of the best scorers in the entire country on display in Ithaca this weekend. Third-ranked Big Red hosting the Great Danes. DeHoga had 3 goals and an assist overall so far this season. He's been kind of quiet, while Teat, not so quiet. 10 goals and 4 assists in the 2 games last weekend. Albany's won the last 4 games in this series. This one a game at Sholkoff Field, 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Is this supposed to snow in Ithaca this weekend, Tom?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Yeah.
It's supposed to snow everywhere.
Tomorrow, I think tomorrow, probably. I think it's supposed to be a little warmer tomorrow. Tomorrow might be okay.
You are our Ithaca expert.
I really have to figure out what the weather. You never know. Coming off the lake, there could be a little snow
lake
squall.
effect.
Yeah. The Cayuga Lake.
It can't slow down Jeff Teat, though.
It can't. Not much can. He's been great in the second half this year.
Yeah.
Which I think has been good. All right, so what else we got? Let's see. Let's take a look here. Johns Hopkins taking on Princeton. Princeton coming off that loss to Virginia. Hopkins with that gritty win over North Carolina.
Needed that.
In the mud. Yale and UMass, which could be intriguing.
I like that matchup.
Yeah,
I remember rematch the NCAA tournament last year. UMass played them as tight as anybody.
That's what we've been hearing about UMass. I've heard that all off season from UMass. When everyone talks about UMass, they're like
they played Yale really tough.
Yeah, their toughest game last year, so they know each other well enough. Villanova and Delaware. We'll talk about that one a little bit later too in our prediction segment. And Ohio State and Marquette. We're going to talk about that too. That's all part of Ohio State and Marquette. That's down in Texas.
Yeah, Patriot Cup, a game you can see here on LSN. All right, let's break down another game you can see on LSN tomorrow. Georgetown traveling to Hofstra. The Hoyas coming off a win that they had to scrap for at Mount St. Mary's on Tuesday. Hoyas using a big fourth quarter to put away the Mountaineers and get to 3-1 on the season. The lone loss coming to now 7th-ranked Towson team, so that loss really doesn't look all that bad.
Now, it wasn't that close of a game either, so let's take that into consideration.
I mean, they might be the #1 team in the country.
That's very true. The key piece offensively for the Hoyas is attackman Daniel Baccaro. He had his season cut short last year by a torn ACL. That was last season, late last season, April?
Yes.
April? But has come back just as strong this season in 2019. That's less than 12 months recovery. He leads the team with 13 goals and 20 assists so far.
20 points, sorry.
Excuse me, 13 goals and 20 points. and he joined Megan this week as he looks ahead to the trip to Long Island.
And now we have Georgetown senior Daniel Beccaro joining the show. Daniel, thanks for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you, guys.
Let's talk about your senior year. You are 4 games in. How does it feel?
It's been fun so far, a little bumpy, but we're still figuring some things out, and we're playing really hard, and it's all we could ask for, and just we just got to keep on playing hard and playing our game, and that's what we focus on is ourselves.
Let's talk about your journey. In May, you had ACL surgery, and now you're back full on, and you have been playing absolutely unbelievable. But just put this season into perspective for me, and just tell me what it means to you.
The season means a lot. It's my last go. So the guys that I've been playing with every 4 years, or all these 4 years, have they've helped me a lot, and this one's really special because you kind of take it for granted freshman year. And you realize that it goes by pretty quick. So I'm just enjoying it right now and just got to make the best of it.
If you could give your younger self any advice, maybe your freshman year self, what would you tell yourself?
Just enjoy every moment of it because it flies by. And you don't want to miss any opportunities and putting in that extra work and all the things that you've worked for your whole life. So, I would just tell myself to just have fun with it and make as many memories as you can.
Well, I have to say, it looks like you're having a lot of fun because you already got 20 points on the season so far. What has been the difference that has allowed you to explode from a statistics standpoint?
I'd just say my teammates and my coaches have just been helping me out along the way, and it's just I guess we've been playing pretty well, been playing pretty fast. I think we still can play better. So I'd say my teammates and my coaches have just been helping me out a lot.
And this weekend you're taking on Hofstra. That game is right here on Allison. What are some of the key things that you and your team are working on as you gear up for this game?
I think we've just been focusing on ourselves, like I was saying earlier. They're a really good team, and they've had some unlucky games, but they're really talented, and we can't take anyone lightly or anything like that because they're a special group. They're very tough, and we just gotta play our game and hope for the best.
Last year we didn't get to see this game due to a snowstorm. Are you kind of just a little scared for your preparations as you guys travel to Hofstra?
Yeah, a little. But that was a crazy storm last year. It was too long, but we made some memories with that. I think it made us a lot closer. So hopefully we don't go through that again. I think one time was enough. But that was a rough time, but it was kind of fun too.
I bet it was. You guys got stuck on a bus. I'm sure it was a big party on that bus trip.
Yeah. We definitely smelled bad, but it was fun.
And lastly, I have to ask you, if there's like one thing that you want the world to know about your team, this 2019 team, what would you want them to know?
Just don't count us out. I think a lot of people could see past us, and I think we got a good group here, and we're really close. We're like a family-knit group, so keep us in mind, but we'll see where it takes us.
All right, Daniel, we will definitely be watching this weekend. Good luck with everything and safe travels.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Still to come, we'll look ahead to the other part of our CAA Game of the Week doubleheader, how Fairfield coach Andy Copeland plans to attack Rutgers and how he plans to stop the Rutgers attack.
Yeah, that can be tough sometimes. We'll also be joined by a player on the Hofstra side of things. What's the best and worst part of having your dad be your coach? Ryan Tierney weighs in on that.
It's still 26 seconds on the shot clock. Good play by Bowering! Reed Bowering going airborne for his second goal of the day.
Wow, the crease dive is back. That is textbook. We've seen a little ambiguity with the crease dive this year. Now that it's back, talk about landing in the goal mouth, launching towards the goalie. Nobody's really sure how to call this, This is clearly a clean crease dive.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship.
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
Welcome back to Lacrosse Now. Hofstra looks to bounce back from their loss to Stony Brook by taking on a tough Georgetown team on Saturday. A game you can see, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on Lac Sports Network. You'll probably hear the name Tierney once or twice. Definitely twice, at least, because not just because of Seth Tierney, the coach, because Ryan Tierney, the junior attackman, his son. The younger Tierney has 11 goals and 2 assists this season. Joins Travis now.
So we have Ryan Tierney joining us now. Ryan, new number for you this year. Who dis? Number 13. Why number 13 this season?
So once 13 opened up, I kind of tried to grab it because my dad played, and he was 13, and then my uncle Bill is number 13 as well, and then my little sister Erin is 13 here on the girls team.
So that's a long legacy of Tierney's in number 13. Any extra pressure?
No, they keep the pressure off. You know, they're cool about it. They're just happy to see me in that number.
Hey, one of the luxuries of having inherited that is you're now an upperclassman, a junior on this team. Does it feel any different knowing that you've been now on your second half of your collegiate career?
No. Every day is a new battle. You know, you got to keep working for that end game and keep the guys up. You know, like. Whether you're a freshman or a senior, you can always be a leader in some way or some fashion.
Looking back on you as a freshman, you had the luxury of playing with a guy in Josh Byrne who we've seen make some impressive waves professionally, both indoors and outdoors. Looking back on you then and then to now, what's the biggest change that you've seen in your game, your confidence? What's different?
I don't really know. I just grown. You know, I've been more poised with the ball. Or trying to at least, and I kind of realized that the slides comes a lot quicker because I wouldn't see that with Josh because my guy would be sliding. I would just be following the gap. Now I see how fast that slide actually comes, and I got to move the ball better and hopefully get some assists and keep the team rolling.
As a captain on this team, you got a bunch of inexperienced pieces throughout this roster. What's your role meant in the locker room, especially this year when you have so many guys still just trying to figure out what their role is on the team?
So I'm more of a quiet captain. Mark Ellis is the loud captain. He likes to get the guys going and stuff. I try to lead by example or try to do something to get the guys up. You know, like try to make a play or try to pull some guy up during practice, like when he's having a bad day or the coaches are getting on him. You know, I'm more of not like a sideline captain, but a quiet captain. You know, I try to lead by example as much as I can.
So when you look at this team, you guys are 2 goals away from being 4-0. I was talking to your dad, your coach earlier, and maybe a goal away from being 1-3. That's life in college lacrosse. What's the message as you enter this game here on Saturday against Georgetown?
Anything can happen, you know, like you can't let the past affect where we're at right now. And the biggest thing in the game today is the energy war. You know, whoever shows up with the most energy is going to win the game. You know, they're going to fight for the more ground balls. They're going to fight for more faceoffs. They're going to get more opportunities, and they get more seconds on offense, especially with the shot clock.
Spoken like a true coach's son. Give me this. What's the best and the worst part about playing for your dad?
The best part is obviously the memories that we're going to have. They're irreplaceable. You know, like one day we're going to look back and we're going to see all this, but the worst part is when things go bad, it's bad on you more than it's bad on everyone else, but it's okay. You get through it. The better days are ahead.
you can smooth things out throughout. I know your dad was talking about watching the game the other night with Towson knocking off number 1. I know you guys are going to see him in a little bit in the CAA, but as a conference, what does it mean to see another team that you've got on the schedule doing something like that?
Of course, Towson's playing unbelievable this year. They got a good thing going, and I'm glad because the CAA conference needs to be recognized because we do have good teams. UMass, Towson, Drexel's even good this year. Like, they have good teams that are gritty teams. You know, they're gritty players on every team, and we deserve a little bit more recognition than we get because of how hard we work.
And gritty is the perfect way to describe all these teams in the conference. It's been fun to watch. We can't wait to see it here on Saturday. Appreciate the time, Ryan. Good luck.
Of course. Thank you so much.
As a coach's son myself, I get it. I get what he's going through.
Yeah, it's tough. Also, Gritty should be the official mascot of the CAA.
That's another good point. You can see Georgetown and Hofstra right here on Lac Sports Network on Saturday. That's tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, for free. Download the app so you can see interviews like that. You can preview the game, and then you can watch the game. Enjoy. Moving on, the Virginia-Syracuse rivalry. Notre Dame and Maryland, Delaware and Nova, UAlbany-Cornell. Previews, picks on the way. Rutgers-Fairfield. I'm just going to keep naming teams all day long. Rutgers-Fairfield on LSN at 1 p.m.
Also playing tomorrow.
Yep, right here, LSN, 1 p.m. What Andy Copeland says his team changed after their season opening loss to St. Joe's.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle on the pass. With the first championship.
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
We've got a full slate here on Saturday, tomorrow on LSN. The first part of our CAA Game of the Week doubleheader, as you just saw, Fairfield hosting Rutgers, a game where the Scarlet Knights will look to right the ship after back-to-back losses against ranked opponents. Rutgers finished up a tough 2-game stretch falling to Army and then to number 1 Loyola this past weekend. They had to play against those top-ranked Greyhounds without standout attackman Kieran Mullins. We talked about him earlier in the show. He's currently day-to-day. We're unsure if he's going to play tomorrow at Fairfield. By the way, things don't get a lot easier in the non-conference for the Scarlet Knights after this game. They still have to play Syracuse and Princeton before they then get to a loaded Big Ten schedule, so it's not going to be easy. As for the Stags, they got into the win column for the first time this season by beating in-state rival Sacred Heart 12-11. It was a much improved defensive effort for Fairfield, who gave up 21 goals to St. Joe's in the opener ahead of tomorrow's game. Tom caught up with head coach Andy Copeland.
All right, so Coach joins us now. Coach, I guess the first one I start asking you, obviously a nice win over the weekend. What'd you do differently against Sacred Heart as opposed to the first week against St. Joe's?
Yeah, I think simply we just played a lot harder. We competed. We scrapped for ground balls, but we just had a different energy about us. So I was proud of the guys. I mean, we kind of dug ourselves a little bit of a hole there in the second quarter, but we have a resilient group of guys right now. So they battled in the third quarter, and then Shu was able to kind of stretch the lead again at the end of the third, and we had to tie it up and then finally take the lead in the fourth. But nothing came easy, and that's a credit to Sacred Heart. That's a good ball club over there.
Yeah, something you mentioned the ground balls, and you mentioned on your podcast too. Just about toughness was something that you wanted to preach more of from week to week. How do you implement that? How do you just tell the guys just to work harder, or how's that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that you can challenge a variety of different ways. I mean, I think part of it was just some real introspective kind of film study coming off of St. Joe's, where there were some 50-50 ground balls that we had a chance at, and we just didn't come up with them. So, I don't know that there was a real lack of toughness there as much as there was just we didn't really understand the intensity that you had to really play with to just try to give yourselves a real chance there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, now as you head into your third game of the year, and you think about a team like Rutgers coming to town coming off a couple of losses for them, 2-2 earlier in the season. What do you have to do well against a team like Rutgers?
I think we got to take them out of the transition game. I think that's their strength. So we got to try to keep it in the half field. We got to clear a lot more successfully than we did, against Sacred Heart. We're going to have to shoot well against who I think is an awfully talented goalie in their kid Max Edelman. And the faceoff game is going to be a huge part of this whole thing as well. I just think the team with more possessions certainly has a distinct advantage.
Yeah, you had a guy, Frankie Labetti, who was great against Sacred Heart. He had, 21 of 26 after the first week, what wasn't as good. And he didn't face off last year, right?
Well, no, you know what? Frankie was kind of in our D-mid rotation last year. So he logged a lot of minutes as a freshman. I think that kind of speaks to just how athletic he is as an individual, that he can play both of those roles. But I also think that's where the face-off position is going. I just think, I don't know that Fogo, but, kind of non-athlete is really getting it done these days. And I think Frank is a, kind of really good technician, super competitive, really good ground ball kid, and really good athlete, too. So if he gets stuck playing either defense or offense, it's not a liability at either end.
You mentioned how important that's going to be, especially against a team like Rutgers who has an attack unit like the one they have. Is that kind of in the back of your mind too?
Yeah, I think I said it on the podcast. I think that's a top 5 attack unit nationally. I think they're great, and they just work very well together. So I mean, they're obviously talented individually, but they bring out the best in each other. So that's another real focal point heading into tomorrow. Yeah,
but that's sort of in mind in terms of a team scoring and offensively. You did a nice job against Max Tuttle last week in Sacred Heart. Obviously, he's a really good player. I know he's a midfielder, and these guys are mostly on the attack units where their scoring comes from, but can you have some of those kind of same philosophies against the Charlene Beatties, too, and also Kieran Mullins?
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, we've watched a lot of film, and we have kind of specific plans for them, and I think it goes back to what I said initially, kind of taking them out of the early offense where those guys can just operate in a 3-on-3 setting with plenty of room. I think you can't have self-inflicted wounds at the offensive end and all of a sudden give them those opportunities, kind of in the transition realm there. So those guys are really, really, really good, but I think our defense will be up for the challenge here as well.
And it's March 1st today, and now everyone, especially over the course of February, says it's only February. Is the volume turned up a little bit now that the calendar's turned?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we get to tomorrow, and we got 7 games in 3 weeks here, so it is so it's on. I mean, we're in the bulk of our season, and you got to be playing some good ball here over the course of the next 3 weeks to kind of get that record where you want it going into conference play.
And I say that's March, but at the same time, we know the forecast tomorrow doesn't look too much like March. I mean, depending on where you are in the country. Is that something that you guys think about, game plan for it all, knowing that there might be a couple inches of snow on the ground when you hit the field?
Yeah, we try to not really overcook it. I mean, we're used to it by now. I think everybody in the lacrosse world knew that you were going to have one of these March, April, kind of snowstorms. So we're used to it by now. We have orange balls ready if we got to go with those. But no, it's just going to be about whatever team plays better and not really about the elements.
Yeah, mentally, that's always a big factor as well. Coach, thanks so much for coming on with us. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Likewise. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
And you can see if they break out the orange balls tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on LSN. The start of a big day of lacrosse. Our CAA Game of the Week double dip. It starts with Fairfield and Rutgers. You can, of course, watch it. LaxSportsNetwork.com. Any free LSN app. You can see at the bottom of the screen there. Apple TV, Xbox, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Chromecast. However you watch Netflix, you can watch LSN. As for now, time for our picks. We'll make our Saturday selections for the biggest games of the weekend.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship!
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
Time for some picks, so we'll start with Barstool Jordy, who comes on with us every week. We'll explain why he's not on this week in just a moment. But here's what he did. Just like he's sort of been going 2-2 every week. He got the Duke-Denver game right. This was week 3, Loyola Johns Hopkins, so this was a while ago.
Yeah.
These weren't last week's picks. So
No,
let's move on from that.
2-2 last week.
We don't need to see that anymore.
All right, Jordy not joining us because he's out to dinner with his mom.
That is a true statement.
Enjoy, Jordy. I hope you're not
Jordy.
watching us live.
Good for you.
But
That's
maybe
awesome.
on the replay. So we're going to make our picks.
Yes.
You want to start off? Delaware and Nova.
Delaware and Nova.
Who do you like?
1 p.m. Saturday in Villanova. I got to call Delaware on Tuesday. So I saw them up close, and I kind of like Delaware.
4-0?
I think they, their offense worked so well. Just everything came within the flow of their offense in that game against St. Joe's, And you got a guy like Ty Kurtz, who's a freshman, very talented. And I think Villanova's been a little bit of a uneasy, up and down kind of team, right?
They have been.
I mean, they
You're
beat
right.
Hofstra by 1 in overtime.
You're feeding right into what I want to say.
Charlie Kitchen, you got Matt DeLuca in goal for,
So you like
for
Delaware?
Yeah, I'm going with Delaware.
All right, I like Nova because you got Connor Kirst on your team. He's got not 1, but 2 overtime game winners in the last 2 games. The Cardiac Cats are back, folks. Keegan Kahn
Just
also.
because he has a couple game-winning goals?
Keegan Kahn and Joey Fricaro also really big pieces in this Villanova offense. I trust them. I'm going with the Cats at home.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
All right.
I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, Georgetown or Hofstra. I can't make this pick because I'm calling it. Who do you got?
This is all me here.
Yeah,
so,
carry it.
We obviously we just heard from Hofstra a little bit. We talked to them just about coming off that Stony Brook loss. But Georgetown hasn't been that impressive this year. They've won games. They're 3-1 so far. They beat Mount St. Mary's by 2, Sacred Heart by 3, Robert Morris by 3. None of those are that impressive performances in my eye. Then they lost to Towson by 14-8. I think this is going to be a really close, good game. I don't think this is really tough. And I know you can't say anything, so I'm sort of talking to myself here. I think Georgetown can win it this time around. I just think Hofstra, tough turnaround after that loss, and Georgetown's played Towson and has a little bit better competition so far.
I'm on the call with Finn Sullivan, the Hofstra alum, tomorrow here on LSN. How about this one? Virginia.
Oh, you're going to pick this one, I know.
And Cuse.
You're definitely going to pick this game. You have the honors here.
Great stat about this one. Syracuse, in this rivalry against Virginia, leads the all-time series 18-17. In those games, Syracuse has scored 452 goals. Virginia has scored 451. There's a 1-goal difference in 35 meetings between Syracuse and Virginia.
That's special.
It is going to be a 1-goal game. I'll go with the Orange because it's at home.
Is that the only reason?
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
And I like the defense. I think they can neutralize a little bit what Virginia does, just enough.
See, I like what Cuse has done. After the first game against Colgate, I think they sort of figured things out in terms of stopping some of the team's best scorers. But I feel like I like the midfield of Virginia a lot in this game.
Good.
I think Dox Aiken can take advantage a little bit of Syracuse's D-middies. And I think Virginia will have an advantage there. And I actually do like Virginia in this game to beat Syracuse.
Oh. 1-goal game?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's go Ohio State and Marquette
Yeah.
in the Patriot Cup. This one at SMU. After a couple years at the Star in Frisco, they're back to SMU in Dallas. Rain expected in the forecast. Here's the thing about Ohio State. For the third straight year, they went undefeated in February. However, last year they did this and then lost to a Marquette team that snuck up on them in a neutral site game. I'm worried about the Buckeyes doing it again. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm worried. So I like the Buckeyes, but this is going to be closer than you think. It's a good rivalry.
Yeah, Marquette, I didn't know these stats until I looked them up today. 5th in the nation in man up, top 20 in scoring. So it seems like, obviously, they're coming off to the loss to Detroit Mercy, I think, last week. But at the same time, I love what Jack Myers has done for Ohio State. He's given them a whole new dimension to that offense. In the last 3 games, he has 16 points. So you pair him up with a Jasinski and Trey LeClaire, and I think that he's given them a whole new dimension. I think they win this game.
Yeah, that offense has been good. So you're Buckeyes? We're both Buckeyes.
Yep.
How about Maryland and Notre Dame on Sunday?
I have no idea who's going to win this game.
This game's in South Bend.
Yeah.
An ESPNU broadcast. The thing about this is, like, until last year, this rivalry is ugly. Like 5-4, 6-5. I mean, if you like defense, this is great lacrosse. Otherwise, I don't know. I think Notre Dame is struggling without Ryder Garnsey offensively. I think that's a big loss for them. I think Maryland has it figured out. They're finding ways to win. I'm going with the Terps on the road.
They're finding ways to win, but they haven't been impressive thus far.
Right, but they
haven't played great competition, Maryland.
They've played good competition.
They've played good competition. I think this is just one of those games where Notre Dame's at home. They've got this team that's top 2 in the nation coming in, and they get up for it. I think this is more of a...
Notre Dame's got to get it. They need to figure it out
This is less than a matchup thing. This is just a thing where Notre Dame's like, we got to figure this out. They had a gut check last week. We were like, we got to figure things out now instead of later. So we hit March. Notre Dame starts picking things up. There's a reason they stayed in the top 10 after Ryder Garnsey was out. And I think that's going to come to fruition this time.
Defense has to step up.
And I think Maryland isn't as good as people think. I don't think they're worthy of number 2 in the nation.
All right, hot take. How about Barstool Jordy's picks this week? Here's what he's got. He's got Delaware getting the goals against Villanova, so he likes that to be a good game, but he likes the Hens. Hofstra against Georgetown. Interesting. Okay. He likes the Buckeyes despite the fact that they're favored by 3.5. And he likes Maryland.
Cover that 1 goal.
Despite the fact that they're favored by 1. So he likes Maryland by more than 1.
Ohio State by 3.5. So interesting stuff there.
There you go. By the way, you can catch the Crease Dive podcast featuring Barstool Jordy. This week, his guest, one of my favorite guys in lacrosse, Grant Amen.
Grant Amen.
I mean, come on, you get 2 great Philly guys like Barstool Jordy and Grant Amen. I hope there's some Eagles talk. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, so I got to dial that up here on my drive for Saturday morning, getting ready for the game tomorrow. So here we go. Crease Dive podcast with Barstool Jordy featuring Penn State's Grant Aments, and I'm sure they talk about the shimmy shake behind the cage where he got Chris Fake.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to him in the morning, too. So Kyle Ellison, College Central, right here, 11:30 Eastern. Should be a fun day, previewing the world of lacrosse. Then we got several games right here on LSN.
We got like 3 games at 1, another game at 3. Be here on LSN tomorrow. We'll see you then.